So what do I mean by the drinker's identity? It's a little bit different to the drinker's brain. The drinker's brain is more on the lines of how your brain is reacting to the alcohol over the years, right? How it's developed those pathways for the habit, your thoughts, all that kind of stuff. The drinker's identity is more of a core position that you take for yourself. It's that I am a drinker, I'll always be a drinker. Alcohol is part of my life. Alcohol is part of my being, all that kind of stuff, right? And I think that the drinker's identity will stay with you as long as you drink, right? As long as you carry on the drinking, you're always going to have that drinker's identity or some version of it. I mean, it's not something that stays still, it's something that evolves. It's dynamic like anything else. But it will stay with you, right? And it makes sense, right? That as long as you're drinking, you're going to have that drinker's brain, you're going to have the drinker's mentality. The problem is that it's also going to stay with you as long as you think in terms of alcohol, right? It will stay with you for quite a while after you stop drinking alcohol. But if you're doing the work on it, stop the flow, do the work, move on, then you do move on from that. Your identity becomes something different. But if you stay thinking in those terms, in terms of alcohol, and I'm talking about here, if you continue to use the terms sober on yourself, or I'm in recovery, or I'm an alcoholic, for instance, those things are going to keep that identity with you. The only difference is that now you have a kind of a split identity, because part of you also identifies as somebody who is trying to get away from alcohol. So you're identifying half of yourself. You're identifying yourself more with the battle than anything else. So you've got this internal battle that will keep going on, keep raging inside of your head, as long as you keep these ideas front and center of your change process, because you're not really changing into anything. You're deciding that you're stuck in this way of thinking. You're deciding that you're stuck in this way of living your life. You've accepted that as part of a fixed mindset that you have, and that's it. You're moving forwards with that, regardless of how many years you haven't drunk alcohol. That's going to stay with you. I just think that's a sad thing to do. I don't think there's any need for it. I think it's almost like it's a straitjacket. Let's not call it a straitjacket. Let's call it's a habit that people take on. It's an addiction that people take on as part of their identity, which helps them to get away from alcohol, but also puts them into another box. It puts them into another. It's not as dangerous as the alcohol in terms of it's not going to kill you, but you're also not going to make progress in your life. I think making progress is all about, first of all, opening up your potential. And then once you've opened up that potential, then working towards the potential. Now, if you, the biggest barriers that you can ever put up against yourself are upstairs in your head, right? The ones that you put up against yourself. And this is a big barrier, right, to progress, because it makes you believe that there is something broken in you. It makes you believe that there is a natural barrier, like a cliff inside of your brain, that you can't get over, right? And if you can think in that way with one area of your life, then what's the likelihood that you're going to think of in the same way in another area of your life that is also tough to get over, right? So if you're finding difficulty, what's to stop you from saying, well, I've got a disease there. Doctors are full of it these days, and it's going to get worse. You go down to the doctor and they diagnose you with a condition. Instead of saying to you, no, you've got to knuckle down and do some work, they say to you, no, you just have to take this pill, and you don't have to do any work. You just have to take the pill and everything will be all right. Madness. Take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Onwards and upwards.